The Yankees, they made their first move of the trade deadline season, sending two prospects in return for Rockies third baseman Ryan McMahon. And joining us now to break down the trade is the Yankees beat reporter with us for the New York Post. His name is Greg Joyce. You see him right there. Greg, what's going on?
How you doing, Dexter?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Well, trade season's always been here, but officially started for you here with this deal going down today. And Greg, break down this deal for us. Why Ryan McMahon? I know the Yankees needed a third baseman. This was the area they were looking for, but why Ryan McMahon here?
Yeah, I think it first of all just kind of solidifies that spot that's kind of been a little bit of a black hole for them this season. Obviously, the last few weeks since Jazz Chisholm Jr. moved back to second base, they've just been going with a combination of Oswald Peraza and Yorby Vivas, who have really struggled offensively and aren't, Peraza has been a top defender, but just haven't gotten the production that they need at that spot. So obviously the top third baseman on the market was Eugenio Suárez from the Diamondbacks, but he's a rental and he's also the top bat that's probably going to move. So there's a lot of teams in on him, and I think the bidding is going to get pretty, hot and heavy, I would expect. So especially, at a time when the Yankees' bigger priority seems to be pitching, especially bullpen arms. They kind of went for McMahon here, who I'd heard, was one of their top backup options if they didn't like your potential deal for Suarez. So they kind of strike early, or a little bit early here, 6 days to the deadline. It's a guy who has 2 years left on his deal after this season. He's been a strong defender. I think that's kind of the most biggest thing right now. It just solidifies that position. That's been a big hole for them this season. I talked to a scout earlier this week who thinks that his offense could kind of flourish at Yankee Stadium with the short porch and also just playing in meaningful games. That's something he hasn't done a ton of, obviously, with the Rockies, who have pretty much mostly struggled during his tenure there. And you never would know what to make of hitters when they leave Coors Field. His road splits haven't been great, but we'll see. He doesn't have to be, in that lineup. He was, they were banking on him to be one of the big guys, and in this lineup, he won't have to be that. They just need him to play a solid third base, and whatever they get from him offensively, I think is a bonus. But yeah, so obviously some bigger needs for the Yankees to check off here in the next coming days with pitching, but they filled the big one early on with McMahon at third base.
Now they filled it with McMahon at third base. We know he's got a good glove, gold glove caliber third baseman. We'll see how he can flourish in this lineup with some more protection around him there, Greg. Now, look, the Yankees have hit up two top 25 prospects in their organization, pitchers Griffin Herring and Josh Groves. Was this an overpay by the Yankees in terms of giving up two top 25 pitching prospects here?
I think it's an area of depth that they were dealing from. They have a number of arms at the lower levels, high A, some that have since been promoted to double A that are pretty intriguing to a lot of teams. So, I think it was going to, I don't think it's as much as Suarez would have cost them, even though Suarez is only a rental. But I think, we'll see. It seems like in a lot of these deals over the last years, especially, no matter what Brian Cashman has given up, the prospects that he's dealt haven't really come back to haunt him all that much. So we'll see if that's the case with this one. I know Herring in particular was having a strong year. He's a former 6th-round pick who started off at single A this year and got promoted to high A. A lefty who was putting up some pretty good results, but with McMahon having 2 years left on his deal, it was going to take some, real collateral to get him. So I think, biggest thing is just dealing from an area where they had some depth there and, still have more of their top prospects, how other teams kind of view them available for, some of the bigger swings that maybe they take here over the next couple of days to solidify their bullpen and maybe add a starter as well.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that with you about what the next couple of days could look like for the Yankees because they get their third baseman here. They're out on Suarez. Obviously, now the price seemed to be a little bit too high for the Yankees. But how does this deal affect the rest of the deadline for the Yanks here? Do you think they'll be aggressive in trying to fill those other needs that you talked about there, Greg?
Yeah, I think so. I think getting this done early allows them to shift the full focus to the pitching now. And like I said, they didn't give up any of their top prospects in this deal. I don't think George Lombard Jr. is going to be on the move. in any deal. But we'll see on Spencer Jones, who's obviously on a tear at AAA. He seems to be kind of playing his way into untouchable status, maybe, but maybe in the right deal if you get a guy with control back. But we'll see. It's they still have a number of other guys who are higher in their system that are still available there for a trade. I think the biggest area of concern right now is bullpen. Obviously a unit that's been overworked a lot over the last month and kind of exposed as well. And obviously they've had some injuries there too. So the circle of trust has kind of shrunk a little bit to just Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, and Tim Hill as well. But they need some arms there. And even though they have Louis Seal coming back and Ryan Yarbrough maybe at some point too next month, it wouldn't be surprised to see them try to get a starter that can help them stabilize too, just because you can never have enough pitching, especially, the last 2 months of the season. So we'll see, but I would expect them to now turn full focus to that bullpen and starting and try to be aggressive there. But it is a crowded market. Everybody, there's a lot more buyers and sellers at this point. Everybody's looking for pitching, especially bullpen, but they kind of have their sights set squarely on that now, I think, and still have the prospect collateral to do it.
All right, everybody's trying to get arms. The Yankees are trying to do the same. We'll see if they're able to do that before Thursday's trade deadline. But the Yankees do strike and get their third baseman, Ryan McMahon, coming over from the Colorado Rockies. That's Greg Joyce, Yankees beat reporter for us here with the New York Post. Greg, trade season in full effect. It is going to be busy. Keep the phone close. We will definitely talk soon. Thank you.
All right, you got it, Dexter.